Was Mike Pence possibly involved in this?
Yeah, and if you read, so I lay this out in my book as well.
Okay.
Mike Pence, was he a dupe? Was he unwitting? Mike Pence was used, no doubt, because there's another piece of evidence that I'm waiting to see come out, and I've asked, and I basically demanded that it comes out, and we know this is a really critical piece of evidence. Sally Yates and Mary McCord, who was head of the National Security Division for the Department of Justice, Sally Yates was the acting attorney general, went over to the White House like 2 or 3 days prior to me having to be resigned and me being fired on the 13th of February, I think it was the date. So Mike Pence, Reince Priebus are in the Situation Room in the White House, and Mary McCord, Andy McCabe is the other name, and Sally Yates was the third name that came and briefed Mike Pence on a document. And Mike Pence he had Reince Priebus call me up while they were all together. And he said, I just reviewed this document. The document shows that you talked about sanctions, something I never talked about ever. I never talked to Mike Pence about them. I never talked about them with anybody. Never talked to the Russian ambassador about sanctions. Mike Pence told me that he just saw a document where I discussed sanctions. So that document is either a lie or Mike Pence was lying. Somebody somewhere in between. What I believe is that Mike Pence, I believe that part of their effort was to try to figure out a way, because later on we now know from other cases that came out as well as mine that there was a 25th Amendment that was going to be put on the table further down the road. So this was an effort to get rid of Donald J. Trump. Now, somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence. Now, I will tell you, Eric, not a big fan, never was a fan. I would have served with him, no problem. And did. I was very honest with Mike Pence in the interactions that we had. So somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence, because I have not heard from Mike Pence.
I hope, and again, this is going to be likely a criminal referral from the DNI to the Department of Justice, which means investigation. It's a criminal referral, which means these mean they have teeth. And when Congress talks about stuff, it doesn't really have a lot of teeth. When there's a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, they open up an investigation. And I pray, I haven't seen it, but I hope Mike Pence's name is on the list of folks they're going to talk to regarding all this.
Mike Pence. They're going to have to question Mike Pence. They're going to have to question him about that meeting that I just talked to. And that meeting occurred on like the 11th or 12th of February of 2017. I know that meeting occurred because he called me up. Reince Priebus called me up on behalf of him and said, I'm standing here with the vice president. I'm standing here with Andy McCabe, Sally Yates, and he mentioned one other, and I believe it was Mary McCord. And they had just read a document that was, to me, it must have been a complete fabrication. So somebody's not telling the truth. So those are individuals that are going to have to be brought in for questioning and all this other stuff that, and I'm telling you, Eric, and I think that, maybe Tulsi said this yesterday, but I know that she's going to do another dump maybe today, but there's going to be another dump of declassified information this week that is just going to be mind-blowing.